The night was heavy with darkness, broken only by the dim glow of the moon. The graveyard lay still and silent, save for the rustling of leaves stirred by a restless wind. It was the kind of night that whispered secrets, a night that held a tale that had been buried for far too long. Tom had taken the graveyard shift at the old Everwood Cemetery, a job most in the town avoided. But he needed the money, and the thought of spending his nights with the dead didn't faze him. At least, not until that first night. As he patrolled the rows of tombstones, his flashlight's beam revealed moss-covered monuments and forgotten names. The graveyard seemed abandoned, but Tom couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. He brushed it off as a byproduct of his overactive imagination and continued his rounds. On the third night of his shift, things took a chilling turn. As Tom approached a mausoleum, he heard a soft, mournful wail. His heart raced as he shone his flashlight toward the source, revealing a woman in a tattered white gown standing before a grave. Her long, disheveled hair obscuring her face. "Ma'am," Tom called out, his voice quivering with uncertainty. "Are you okay?" The woman didn't respond. Instead, she turned and glided away into the darkness. Tom followed, his curiosity overcoming his fear. He could hear her faint sobs in the distance, leading him deeper into the labyrinth of graves. Eventually, the woman stopped before a particularly weathered tombstone, her shoulders trembling as she knelt before it. Tom approached cautiously and read the name etched into the stone: Evelyn Whitmore. It was then that the woman's hair shifted, revealing her face, a face twisted in agony, her eyes hollow and filled with despair. She reached out a ghostly hand toward Tom, her voice a mournful whisper. "Help me," she implored, her voice carrying an otherworldly chill. Tom stumbled back, overcome by terror, but he couldn't abandon this tormented soul. He remembered a local legend his grandmother had told him as a child, a tale of a woman named Evelyn Whitmore, whose tragic death had led to her restless spirit haunting the cemetery. With trembling hands, Tom pulled out his phone and began researching. He discovered that Evelyn had died in the late 1800s under mysterious circumstances. Her death certificate marked unknown causes. There were whispers of foul play, but nothing had ever been proven. Determined to help Evelyn find peace, Tom delved deeper into her story. He visited the local archives, sifting through old newspaper clippings and records. He uncovered the tragic truth: Evelyn had been a victim of a love affair gone terribly wrong. Her lover, a wealthy man named Frederick Wainwright, had abandoned her when she became pregnant. Heartbroken and desperate, she had taken her own life in the cemetery. Tom knew he needed to find Evelyn's letter, believing it held the key to easing her torment. He returned to the graveyard and searched until he stumbled upon an old, forgotten grave with the initials F.W. carved into the tombstone. As he began to dig, a sense of dread washed over him. The moonlight cast eerie shadows around him, and the wind seemed to whisper warnings. But he couldn't stop now. With every shovelful of dirt, he felt he was getting closer to unraveling the mystery and helping Evelyn find peace. Finally, his shovel struck something solid, a wooden box. Tom lifted it out of the grave and carefully opened it. Inside, he found a bundle of yellowed letters tied together with a faded ribbon. Among them was Evelyn's final letter, a heartbreaking plea for her lover to acknowledge their child. With the letter in hand, Tom returned to Evelyn's grave, where the ghostly figure waited. He began to read the letter aloud, his voice trembling with emotion. As he spoke the words, a strange phenomenon occurred. The air grew colder, and a soft, ethereal light enveloped Evelyn's form. Tears streamed down her face as she listened to her own words, and with a final, mournful sigh, she began to fade away. Tom watched in awe as Evelyn's spirit dissolved into the night, her voice echoing one last time in his mind. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with gratitude and peace. The following day, Tom shared the tale of Evelyn Whitmore's restless spirit with the townspeople. The legend of the haunted graveyard shifted from a source of fear to one of reverence and compassion. The townspeople began leaving flowers on Evelyn's grave, a gesture of remembrance and sympathy. As for Tom, he quit his job at Everwood Cemetery, no longer needing the money. But he would forever carry the memory of that fateful graveyard shift and the night he helped a tormented soul find the peace she had long sought. It was a night he would never forget, a night when the past and the present collided in a tale of horror, redemption, and the enduring power of compassion.